When 32-year-old Harry Ligma was reported missing, police didn't anticipate an unusual twist. At the last location Harry was seen, officers found not a single clue except for an obese dachshund. Desperate for leads, they took the dog to a local shelter, hoping it might provide answers. However, the call they received from the vet the next day turned the case into something far more complicated than anyone expected. The initial call reporting Harry's disappearance seemed routine to Officer Liam Reynolds. Confident it was an open and shut case, Reynolds assured his colleagues, "It'll be easy enough." But Harry's seemingly spotless life and the unexpected findings tied to the dog hinted at something far darker. Reynolds and his partner, Officer Zoe Green, started at Harry's home. Given a key by a family member, they entered cautiously. "It's spotless," Reynolds muttered, unease creeping in. Splitting up, they searched for clues but found nothing, until Green discovered a peculiar set of documents in Harry's study. "This doesn't add up," she said, handing the papers to Reynolds. The documents prompted them to shift their focus to Harry's office, the last place he'd been seen. At Harry's office, they found the abandoned dachshund. "We need to get this dog to the vet," Green insisted, noting its poor health. The officers hoped the dog might lead them to answers, unaware of the critical clue it carried. The next day, as they reviewed Harry's background, Reynolds received an urgent call from the vet. "You need to come down here," the vet said. The dog's microchip had conflicting ownership records, an inconsistency that could crack the case wide open. The mismatched chip led the officers to a new address, not far from Harry's office. Though uncertain of its significance, they decided to investigate. Arriving at the location, an industrial warehouse, they observed suspicious activity. People moving guarded cargo and entering through a side door. It was clear this was no ordinary missing person case. Convinced they were onto something significant, the officers called for backup and began surveilling the site. They had no idea just how deep the rabbit hole would go. Reynolds and Green set up a stakeout, observing the warehouse. Hours passed, but their patience paid off. Trucks arrived at odd hours, unloading heavily guarded cargo. People moved in and out cautiously, glancing around before disappearing through a side door. The secrecy only deepened their suspicions. Then Green spotted someone familiar, a man linked to Harry during their background checks. He was carrying a briefcase and entering the building. "This is more than just a missing person," Reynolds muttered. They decided it was too risky to act alone and requested additional resources from their superior. With permission secured, Reynolds and Green returned under the cover of darkness, setting up cameras and microphones around the building. The footage revealed illegal activities, packages exchanged, whispered conversations about transactions, and coordinated movements that hinted at smuggling or money laundering. "This is big," Green whispered, her eyes glued to the screen. Every recording added weight to their suspicions. One man, the associate they'd identified earlier, seemed to play a significant role in the operation. They decided to track him, hoping he would lead them to more answers, and to Harry. Just as they were preparing a raid, an urgent tip came in, pointing them to a nearby dockyard. "We think Harry might be there," the caller said. Reynolds and Green wasted no time heading to the location. The dockyard was expansive, filled with rusting shipping containers and dark corners. Moving cautiously, they scouted the area, their senses heightened by the eerie silence. Suddenly, they discovered a hidden entrance concealed behind stacked crates. Faint voices and machinery sounds drifted up from below. Realizing the potential danger, they called for backup before making a move. Waiting for reinforcements, the tension grew. "We're close," Green whispered, her flashlight steady in her grip. When backup arrived, the raid commenced with tactical precision. Officers neutralized guards and secured the area, their movements swift and silent. They found an underground bunker filled with contraband, crates marked with foreign symbols, and several captives. In one dimly lit corner, they found Harry. Malnourished and weak, he managed a faint smile as the officers reassured him. "You're safe now." Green said softly, helping him to his feet. Harry was immediately taken to safety and assessed by paramedics on site. "He's weak, but he'll recover," Green confirmed as they loaded him onto a stretcher. Relief washed over the team. Harry's survival was a breakthrough in the case, but the officers knew their job wasn't finished. Back at the station, Harry shared his harrowing experience. He explained how he had uncovered an international smuggling ring, gathering evidence to expose it. His efforts, however, had drawn the attention of the criminals, leading to his kidnapping. "They knew I was onto them," Harry rasped, his voice hoarse. Harry's testimony, combined with the evidence from the warehouse raid, painted a shocking picture. The smuggling operation involved high-level individuals, including politicians, business tycoons, and even law enforcement officials. "This is massive," Reynolds said, scanning the files. One key detail stood out. The dog's mismatched microchip and collar were tied to a significant address. Harry revealed it was a front for the operation, with hidden compartments containing crucial records. The officers realized the dog's identity had been a vital clue from the start. Determined to finish the case, Reynolds and Green returned to the address from the chip's records. This time, they searched thoroughly. After hours of combing through the property, Green uncovered a hidden compartment filled with financial ledgers, transaction logs, and incriminating documents. "These numbers are staggering," Green noted, flipping through the ledgers. The records linked the smuggling ring to a network spanning multiple cities. Each detail reinforced the scope of the operation. Armed with irrefutable evidence, the team launched a series of raids targeting those involved. Politicians, executives, and corrupt officials were taken into custody in a meticulously coordinated operation. "We've got them all," Green said triumphantly as the arrests unfolded. The evidence was overwhelming. Courtrooms filled with undeniable proof, leaving little room for defense. Harry's testimony served as the backbone of the case, and the legal proceedings marked a turning point in dismantling the smuggling network. Reynolds and Green's relentless pursuit of justice had not only saved Harry but also exposed a vast criminal empire. The fight wasn't over, but the tide had turned. With the smuggling ring unraveling, Reynolds and Green focused on ensuring no loose ends remained. They revisited the address tied to the dog's chip and discovered additional hidden records linking high-profile individuals to the illegal operation. "We're finally tying it all together," Reynolds said, his voice heavy with determination. The records implicated several powerful figures, exposing their roles in laundering money and moving contraband. Each new piece of evidence brought the team closer to dismantling the entire network. Coordinated raids and arrests followed swiftly. Those who had long operated in the shadows now faced justice. Politicians, business leaders, and even law enforcement officers were among the accused. "This isn't just a win for us. It's a win for everyone who's been hurt by their crimes," Green remarked. The public response was overwhelming. News outlets broadcasted the arrests, and the courtroom buzzed with the weight of undeniable evidence. Harry's bravery and the officers' tireless efforts had brought a vast criminal enterprise to its knees. Reflecting on the case, Reynolds and Green acknowledged how pivotal the dog had been. The mismatched microchip and collar were the threads that unraveled the entire operation. "Who would have thought an abandoned dachshund would crack a case this big?" Reynolds said, shaking his head in disbelief. The dog's false identity had been a deliberate attempt to conceal critical information, but it ultimately led to the operation's downfall. It was a powerful reminder that even the smallest details could hold the biggest clues. The case prompted systemic changes to prevent future criminal enterprises from flourishing. Policies were enacted to close loopholes that had allowed the smuggling ring to operate unchecked. "We've not just ended this operation, we've made it harder for others to start," Green said with pride. The changes symbolized the lasting impact of their work. Beyond the arrests and prosecutions, Reynolds and Green had set a precedent for fighting corruption and organized crime. Commendations followed for the team's outstanding efforts. In a small ceremony, their superior praised their dedication. "You've gone above and beyond," he said. The applause from their colleagues felt well earned, but for Reynolds and Green, the real reward was knowing they had made a difference. The legal proceedings culminated in a series of successful prosecutions. Each high-ranking individual implicated in the smuggling ring faced severe consequences. "We've taken down a powerful network," Reynolds said as he reviewed the court's rulings. Green nodded, satisfaction evident on her face. Harry's detailed testimony, combined with the trove of evidence uncovered by the team, left no room for doubt. The smuggling ring, which had once seemed untouchable, crumbled under the weight of the law. Justice had prevailed. Meanwhile, Harry began his road to recovery. Visits from Reynolds and Green helped him regain his confidence. "You risked everything, and because of that, so many lives have been saved," Green told him during one visit. Harry smiled weakly, knowing his efforts had not been in vain. The dismantling of the smuggling ring brought peace of mind not only to Harry, but also to the many others affected by the criminal's actions. His bravery had sparked the chain of events that exposed the operation. The case's success had far-reaching effects. The systemic changes enacted in its aftermath tightened oversight and regulations, making it harder for similar operations to thrive. "This is the kind of impact we work for," Reynolds said. The team's efforts sent a clear message. No one, no matter how powerful, was above the law. The ripple effects of their work ensured that the victory was not just a one-time event, but a significant step toward a safer community. As the dust settled, Reynolds and Green took a moment to reflect on the case that had defined their careers. "It wasn't just about solving a crime," Reynolds said. "It was about standing up to corruption and making sure no one else suffers like Harry did." Green nodded, the weight of their accomplishment sinking in. "We've done something good here, something that will last," she said quietly. The mismatched chip on an obese dachshund had seemed inconsequential at first, but it had led them to uncover a vast criminal empire. The case was a testament to the importance of perseverance and attention to detail in law enforcement. With the operation dismantled and justice served, Reynolds and Green felt a deep sense of pride. They had made a difference, and their work would leave a lasting legacy. The case of Harry Ligma and the obese dachshund stands as a powerful reminder that even the smallest clues can unravel the biggest mysteries. What began as a routine missing person investigation evolved into the dismantling of a vast and deeply rooted international smuggling operation. Reynolds and Green's relentless pursuit of the truth, coupled with Harry's bravery, exposed a web of corruption that implicated high-ranking officials and powerful individuals. The mismatched chip on the dachshund became the key to uncovering layers of illicit activities, leading to the arrests and prosecutions of those who once operated above the law. The case not only brought justice to Harry, but also initiated systemic reforms to ensure tighter regulations and prevent similar crimes. For Reynolds and Green, the victory was more than professional recognition. It was a testament to the power of perseverance, teamwork, and the significance of every detail. Their efforts didn't just solve one case. They made their community safer and left a lasting legacy in the fight against organized crime. As Harry recovered and life slowly returned to normal, the case stood as a symbol of hope and justice, proving that even in the darkest of times, determination and courage could bring about meaningful change.